Alright, what's going on, guys? George here, and today we're going to be working on the Nissan 240SX once again. And today we're going to be solving an issue that I don't know if I created, it kind of just occurred as a result of me being a 15-year-old who didn't really know what was occurring. So, I got my diff welded when I was 15 years old by some person I found on Craigslist, and I explained to them, welded diff, and they're like, okay, I know how to do that. And I was like, alright. So he welded it up. Didn't really do a great job, I'm thinking now, because the diff is having an issue where it's not locked all the time, so pretty much what I'm thinking is one of the welds in the spider gears came loose from connecting it to the other gear, so it kind of just can spin until the weld hits the other gear. I don't know, I'll show you guys right now. I can kind of make one wheel spin and the other one not. And keep in mind, this should be a welded diff with there should be no movement at all between either of the wheels. So right there, you see this wheel's spinning, that one's not. Then it catches on a weld, and it kind of just does that. Sometimes they're locked right now, but yeah. So I'm pretty much thinking this diff is a lost cause. If there's been pieces of metal moving around in it, and I've been driving, I drove a drift event like this, 2 drift events like this. So and it kind of worked enough so that it locked at some points, but I think there's probably some metal moving around in the diff. And also, something that's probably not so good. After I got this diff welded, I put the fluid in and everything, and I was like, I have to change this fluid, because it's oh, there's going to be fresh metal and all the slag from the weld kind of still in it. And I never changed the fluid, so the same fluid's been in there for maybe 7 or 8 drift events, and also some street driving in between, directly after the diff was welded. So everything's probably just worn down a little bit, it's just metal's been hitting it for so long. Kind of my fault, 100%, so yeah. So I went on Craigslist and I was able to find a new diff. I think I paid $50 or $60 for it. It's already welded. The welds look really nice on it. There's actually no fluid in it, and I can't spin it with my hand right now at this angle. But it's good. We pulled the case off the check. The welds look really good. I'm going to go ahead and brake clean it out before I put it in and also fill it up with fluid. But right now we're going to try and pull the old diff out and see what's up. So I got the car up on jack stands now. Probably going to have to pull part of the exhaust off to get the diff out. Just because it's kind of in the exact place where it needs to not be to get the diff out. So we'll go attack that first. Alright, this is going to be a long process to do by myself with only one 12mm wrench. Might have to figure something else out, or it will just take 3 hours. Alright, so I got all the bolts out of the axle to connect it to the diff, so now I'm going to go ahead and pull out the bolts to connect the drive shaft to the differential. So as it turns out, the car being in gear is not strong enough to stop the differential and the drive shaft from turning, so I'm going to put one of the bolts back into the axles and then tie my hydraulic handbrake back with a ratchet strap or something, because the normal handbrake is broken and it doesn't lock in place, and I have no one here to hold the foot brake, so it's just all so fun. So this is pretty much what you need to do when your handbrake doesn't lock up anymore. Hydro with a little strap on it back there, and rear wheels don't spin. Drive shaft is off. Breakdown. Cause tomorrow you got walls to break down. Cause tomorrow you got walls to break down.
How's it going, kid? I'm asking how's life. How you plan to make it off alright? Tell me how mom is. Erica runs in the team.
This is when the diff starts to fall on top of me.
Knowing you all these questions keep you up all night, losing sight of your dream, but Jay keeps you in check. Y'all from the brotherhood, y'all will never forget. Claiming all your regrets, passing life like a test. Quit blaming shit on you.
Can't remember how I took this out last time. I feel like I just dropped it on my body, or maybe I used a jack. We'll try a jack first before I drop it on myself.
Passing decide on what's coming next, cause y'all be making deadlines, they spit deadlines. All your headlines raise the headline. Y'all just gotta hang in there for the meantime. Soon you'll have more airtime than airlines. Apartments by 23, out in LA. J Bills, Matt D, K Thanks, Ben J, and Argalera, handful homies you'll remember. They can't understand that brotherhood. Got Del Rosetta and Greatness Stone, that your crew will be forever. Swear y'all got specialized endeavors. Arrive in style when you're rocking out Coachella. Knocking out life like you're the #1 contender, no flaw.
Alright, we got the diff out now, so I'm gonna go ahead, flip it over, and crack open the casing so we can see. Actually, I think we'll drain the fluid first and we'll crack open the casing.
Buffing out rhymes, no roids. Heads and tails flip, no coins. So apply to your craft, don't avoid it. And they don't need a ball to know your crew's on point. Yeah.
So this is probably 8 drift events on a freshly welded diff, never been looked at before. I don't know if it's freshly welded, it was welded 2 years ago. Oh my god. There's a lot of metal on this. There is a bit of metal on this drain plug here. That's always nice to see. Yeah. Cool. So, the oil is pretty metallic. This was just other oil that was in here, but over here, right when it was coming out, it's like the first clump that came out was just like sparkly, like a metallic paint, because there was so much metal in it, which is really cool.
I know the feeling. I know you still awake, staring at the ceiling. Grammy nominations, radios across the nation. Acceptance speeches, skyscrapers, and tall record label buildings. Now you're dreaming with your eyes wide open, hesitant of what you're about to do. Janae, Jane, Josh, all three be looking up to you. You quit your job, but mom and dad really trust in you. Los Angeles scheming, oh boy, you got a lot to prove. So show.
Oh yes, there's a mark in here from where metal hit the casing. So you can pretty clearly see, like, the tooth broke off there where it was welded. So I think pretty much what I thought happened. Like, it used to be welded in like all these places. I could probably like put it back where it's supposed to be welded if I just spun one of these. So yeah, and then on this side, really like that's just like, you can see it just like really pulled itself apart. So, and like the gears kind of also exploded because I guess his welds penetrated pretty nicely in some places. So like it pulled the gear off with it. But there's still a lot of missing metal, probably in the diff. And you can see that's where some of the metal got stuck behind this and just got jammed up against the back casing here. So that's pretty cool. So definitely glad we picked up a new diff. So I opened the new diff, and as you can see, it's just filled with weld here. There's not a plate, which is what some people do. They weld a plate in here, but it's just filled with weld. I'm not worried about this at all in breaking. Obviously, in this diff, the tiny welds that were put in these corners no longer exist, and it most definitely was never connected across, so it wasn't really that strong. So would not recommend just doing the corners, because that's the person who welded this did. You live and you learn, but new one is nice and good. I'm going to go ahead and spray it out with some brake clean, because it's kind of just been sitting for a while, and then put some fluid in it and we can throw it back in the car. I think I'm going to have to use my old rear cover for the diff, because on the new one, or not the new one, but the one that came on the other diff, like one of the threads or studs is kind of like threaded out, and I don't really want to have to deal with threading it back in, and they're really the same thing, so it shouldn't really matter. All I have to do is clean the RTV off of this one, and I could probably brake clean the outside of it if I want to be all nice and clean, but aside from that, it should be pretty simple.
Take a chance to show 'em off. You ain't cut from the same type of cloth. You be leather, bro. So take your dreams, stitch them up like there were seams, and hope they hold through the weather, cause you're up against forever, bro.
Alright, that should be good. We'll go ahead and clean off the cover as well.
Real gentlemen raised by your grandparents. Homeland morals, be proud you got to inherit. No tears, no weakness, no fears when you're the
Alright, we got some green gasket maker RTV designed for gear oil, so we should be good on here. Go ahead and seal it up, put the thing on, let it get tacky, and then we'll go ahead and tighten the bolts down.
Life's a movie, Sean, you deserve the credit. Don't think small, jump and free fall. And if you crash, land, get on your knees, crawl. Your talent made out of real, their talent made out of plastic. Your passion made out of diamonds, their passion made out of...
I'm also going to go ahead and fill it with gear oil right now, so the oil doesn't touch the fresh RTV, and we'll torque everything down. I think I'll just leave it for the night so everything can set. The fluid should stay in the bottom of the diff, not interact with the wet RTV, and we should be good. So we need 1.55 quarts. This is 1 quart, and the other bottle will do half of it, and that should be good.
Granted, so set it in stone and make walls for your avenue. They'll all be staring at a
I'm gonna go ahead and throw the drain plug on from the other diff after I spray a little bit of brake clean on it to make sure it's nice and clean.
That no one handed you. Strong winds break the drag like a parachute established by your 20s. They'll be shocked you're born in 92.
Alright, it's been an adequate amount of time. We're gonna go ahead and torque down the bolts on the differential.
So take your best shot, take a swing, have tilted on these strings. Tomorrow you...
Alright, so we're back here again working on the 240, and today we're going to go ahead and slap the diff back in. The RTV has had time to dry, so it should be good with all the fluid in it now. To be touching the fluid so I could flip it over and put it in. Alright, so we got the diff in. Now we're going to go ahead and connect the axles as well as the drive shaft, and I had to go pick up some blue Loctite just so everything was nice and secure on there when we tighten it up and it's not vibrating loose as we drive, because that wouldn't be too great. So here we have our blue Loctite, and we'll just go ahead and pop the axles and drive shaft in, and our new diff should be pretty much done. We can go pop the exhaust back on. Then we'll take it for a little loop outside, test out the welded diff that's actually welded now and then is actually locking the wheels, and see if it feels a little different. So we have the drive shaft connected. I got a little bit of Loctite spread around there because I was squirting and it kind of just came out everywhere. Then we got our axles on this side and that side done. So now all I've got to do is reconnect the exhaust, which is probably the easiest thing in the entire world. It's literally one hanger in the back because I don't have one of them, and one hanger right there. And then 2 bolts that connect it to the pipe, mid-pipe, centerpiece pipe that goes from the downpipe over to here.
You got walls to break down, 'cause tomorrow you got walls to break down, 'cause tomorrow you got walls to break down.
Cammed. Is someone home? Yes. Mother or father? I don't know. Look how much it raises the car, because all like that suspension geometry is fucked. So close.
Oh, it rubs, you can see.
It doesn't even look like that much angle without a fender.
It doesn't. It's not full lock.
Oh.
Tire's so thin.
You could adjust your coil without taking your wheel off. I guess there's no fender.
Normally there's a fender.
Yeah.
Works? Skirt. Welded diff works.
If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the very next video.